Today, I want to talk to you about something that has the power to transform your life in ways you may not even imagine right now. It's the essence of every success story you've ever heard, the secret behind every great leader, and the common thread in the journey of every person who rose from nothing to something extraordinary. It's called personal growth, and it is the ultimate guide to unlocking the best version of yourself. I still remember the day I realized that my life would not change unless I did. I was struggling, unsure of my future, and caught in the cycle of doing just enough to survive, but never enough to thrive. One evening, sitting alone with a notebook, I wrote down one powerful truth. If I want things to change, I must change. If I want things to get better, I must get better. That was the first spark of personal growth, and that spark has the potential to ignite in each of you today. The foundation, self-awareness. The first step in personal growth is self-awareness. You cannot improve what you do not first acknowledge. Most people drift through life unaware of who they truly are, what they value, or why they act the way they do. But the moment you stop, reflect, and ask yourself, who am I? What do I want? Where am I going? You awaken to a new level of consciousness. I often tell people, the biggest room in the world is the room for self-improvement. To grow, you must take a hard look at yourself, your strengths, your weaknesses, and your habits and your fears. The beauty of life is that once you know yourself, you gain the power to direct yourself. Clarity of purpose and goals. Once you know who you are, the next step is clarity of purpose. Imagine trying to sail across the ocean without a compass. No matter how strong the winds or how skilled the sailor, without direction, you'll drift aimlessly. Life is the same way. Without clear goals, you'll spend years wandering, often working hard but achieving little. Every great achievement begins with a crystal clear goal. Write them down. Review them daily. Feel them in your heart and mind. When you wake up in the morning with a clear goal, you'll leap out of bed with energy and drive. The clearer your purpose, the greater your progress. Self-discipline, the master key, but purpose alone is not enough. Dreams without discipline remain fantasies. Discipline is the bridge between intention and accomplishment. It is waking up when you don't feel like it, reading when you'd rather scroll through your phone, working on your craft when no one is watching. There's a story I once heard about a man training for a marathon. Every morning, rain or shine, while the world was asleep, he laced his shoes and ran. Some days his body ached, some days his spirit felt heavy, but he ran anyway. Months later, he crossed the finish line, not because he was the fastest, but because he was the most disciplined. That is the power of discipline. It makes the impossible inevitable. Continuous learning and reading now. If discipline is the engine, learning is the fuel. The world is moving at lightning speed. And if you are not learning every single day, and you are falling behind, one of the greatest habits you can develop is the habit of reading. I challenge you, read at least 30 minutes a day in your field. Learn from the best minds who came before you. Think of it this way, every book is a mentor. Every page is a lesson. When you read, you compress decades of someone's experience into hours of your growth. The more you learn, the more valuable you become, and the more opportunities life places in front of you, overcoming fear and self-doubt. But here's the truth, no matter how much you plan, learn, or prepare, at some point, fear will knock on your door. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of not being good enough. And the enemy of growth is not failure, it is inaction caused by fear. The key is to act in spite of fear. And courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision that something else is more important. Ask yourself, what's the worst that can happen? 9 times out of 10, the worst isn't nearly as bad as your mind imagines. And even if you fail, you'll discover that failure is simply feedback. It points you closer to the right path, building resilience through challenges. Every setback is a setup for a comeback. Personal growth is not about avoiding difficulties, but about using them as stepping stones. Think back to a moment in your life when you faced a great challenge. At the time, it felt unbearable. Yet, looking back, you'll realize it shaped you, toughened you, and taught you lessons that success never could. Life doesn't test us to break us, it tests us to build us. Resilience is the muscle you develop when you refuse to quit, even when quitting feels easier. The power of association. Another key to personal growth is choosing your environment wisely. Jim Rohn famously said, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." Look at the people around you. Do they inspire you? Do they challenge you? Or do they drain you? If you want to grow, surround yourself with people who lift you higher, who believe in dreams, who encourage action, and who live with integrity. The wrong environment will suffocate your growth, but the right one will accelerate it. Gratitude and mindset. Personal growth also requires the right mindset. A mind filled with negativity cannot grow. Gratitude is the key that shifts your perspective. When you wake up each day and write down 3 things you're grateful for, you train your mind to see opportunities instead of obstacles. Gratitude is not just an emotion, it's a mindset. It says, I may not be where I want to be, but thank God I'm not where I used to be. That mindset gives you energy, clarity, and resilience to keep growing. Consistency and persistence. Growth is not a one-time event. It's a lifetime commitment. It's not about intensity, but consistency. Anyone can be motivated for a week. True growth comes from daily habits, repeated over time. Imagine planting a seed. You don't dig it up every day to see if it's growing. You water it, nurture it, protect it, and trust the process. The same is true for your growth. Be consistent, and success will eventually be unavoidable. Responsibility and legacy. Finally, personal growth comes with responsibility. The ultimate purpose of growth is not just to improve yourself, but to lift others. As you grow, as you achieve, as you rise, you must reach back and help others rise with you. The measure of a life well lived is not in the money you make or the titles you hold, but in the lives you touch. That is your legacy. Personal growth is not selfish. It is the most selfless thing you can do, because the better you become, the more you have to give to the world. Call to action. So I ask you today, are you willing to grow? Are you willing to face yourself, set goals, embrace discipline, keep learning, conquer fear, build resilience, choose wisely, stay grateful, remain consistent, and take responsibility for your future? Because if you are, then there is no limit to what you can achieve. Your best self is waiting, and your best life is waiting, and it begins the moment you decide, I will grow. Thank you.